So, roses are red, violets are blue. We are working from home, and so are you.
Very good.
Nice one.
Very good.
As a poet,
We didn't know that was coming. Well done.
Oh, thank you. Yes, welcome. So obviously this is the business brunch. We're serious. We don't talk about any of that sentimental claptrap here. Do we? Yeah, we do. Of course we do. We want to. It's one of those things, isn't it? Valentine's Day. It divides people. Some people love it. Some people hate it. But we love that you are here. We love that you want to kind of share a little bit of your day with us, and hopefully we will cheerlead you into the week as we usually try to do. So who are we? Oh, actually, before we do that, before we start, send us some love. If you're out there and you're watching, then click on that heart, clicker, and send us some love and let all the world know that you're here. Mwah, we love you. And we'll love you even more if you do. And
say hi in the comments too, so we can feature you directly.
Absolutely.
In a comment.
Yeah. Let us know that you're there. Put your name in the comments. Tell us where you are and where you're dialing in from, and let us say hello to you. So welcome to the business brunch. And what is this all about? Well, we are your working from home team. We are here to cheerlead you into the week. And the usual kind of format is that we'll meet around the kettle as we used to do on those Monday mornings back in the office. We'll ask you, how was your weekend? What are you celebrating from last week? And what are you looking forward to in the week ahead? Or what are you struggling with? And if there's anything that we or our working from home community can help you with, then as well as saying hello in the comments and telling us your stories in the comments, then also tell us how we can help you. So who are we? I'm Vanessa. I'm a marketer. I normally work with medium-sized companies, but on LinkedIn, I am here to share whatever knowledge I can to help those smaller companies. We have Melinda with us. Melinda is a business strategist and consultant. And after our little chat, it's Melinda's turn today to talk all about consultancy and becoming a consultant. So normally we have the chat bit, then we have a kind of lunch and learn section. And as I say, Melinda is delivering this today. She's going to give us lots of top tips on how to decide whether you're cut out to be a consultant and how to do it. And 3 attributes and 3 tips. So lots of 3s. That's coming up later. And then Sarah is here. Sarah is an executive coach, and she will help to give you an unshakable belief to achieve your goals. I love that. Unshakable belief. So that's what Sarah's all about. And so we are your working from home team. So has anybody said hello yet?
Haven't seen anybody pop into the chat yet, but I don't know if that's something I'm doing. Which always worries me slightly.
Yeah.
I've been looking yours. I don't know if you can see anything there.
Ooh. So we are at the minute, and don't think you're the only ones there who's watching, because we're going live on so many different streams. So don't be shy about being the first one. You are going live on my LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and the same for Melinda, and the same for Sarah. So that's why you won't see all the comments or any comments at all, because we might all be coming in from different areas.
That's from me.
That's from you. Oh, well done.
I sent us a comment.
just to
test them. Yeah.
Oh, fabulous. But so also what you can it is Valentine's Day, and I know some people love it, some people hate it. So why don't you tell us if you're celebrating it and how you're celebrating it? So ladies, how do you want to start?
Shall I start? Because mine's really quick.
Go for it.
Because I've been married for 976 years. So,
well done.
Yeah, thank
you. And
you.
how many days?
Many. So I'm a bit of a bar humbug when it comes to Valentine's Day, although I've worn red. But my husband's not here at the moment anyway. Both my boys are away skiing. So I'm not celebrating it. I'm going to just be having, pizza or something with my daughter later. But you know what? It's lovely, and some people really enjoy it. But I think for me, it's all about if you're quite a bit younger than me, maybe it's probably more exciting. Or if you're in a new relationship, it's exciting. So I'm just being a bit bar humbuggy, but I did just get some flowers, so I should probably cheer up.
Oh, lovely. So he
That's
sent
really
flowers
nice.
from
He
across
sent-
the miles.
He sent flowers, and I feel really guilty because I'd said before he went away, don't worry about Valentine's Day. I don't really like it anyway. And I haven't got your card or anything because you're going to be away. And then my daughter appeared this morning with a card that he'd written and got ready before he left. So I'm a bad wife.
Oh.
And if you ever watch this, Paul, sorry.
So how about you, Melinda? Are you celebrating today?
Yes, got a my Valentine is cooking me dinner and with a bit of champagne and some roses. So very traditional. Traditional Valentines at home, because I kind of maintain, which isn't great for the restaurant industry, that I'd rather not go out on the evening because it tends to be kind of busy and overcrowded and like kind of stressful all around. And I'd rather just be more private. And so that's the plan.
Very good. Well, I'm kind of the eternal single person here, so I Valentine's Day usually passes me by. It's not intentional. So if I was in a relationship, obviously I would be celebrating the love, but I'm not. And I kind of think I love that people do, and I love Valentine's Day. And why wouldn't you want to celebrate love? The world needs more of it, and I'm all for it. So that's all good. But usually when we're doing these shows, I put a box outside at the top of the drive that tells the postman to bugger off because you set the dog off. But at 12 o'clock, he knocked on the door and there was a parcel in his hand. Anyway, so I just dumped it in the kitchen, thought nothing of it. But then, as I went to get a drink for the show, I thought, I'll just have a look at it. Oh, I brought props. Opened the first thing, open me here. Oh, intriguing. What's all this about? Dear Vanessa, I'm a great believer in people getting what they wish for, etc., etc. I'm not sure what this may be for you, but I know on Valentine's Day, a girl like you must want something, if only a card. Perhaps these will go some way to making your day. These gifts are not from anyone you may suspect. Ooh, the intrigue. I've absolutely no clue. This is a gift of happiness.
It's from the postman.
Smile. These are for you and you alone, as I'm sure you're worth it. How cool.
Oh, lovely. How exciting.
I know, and I've absolutely no idea. So if it's from somebody on LinkedIn who's found out my address, ooh, spooky.
Unless it's the
Anyway.
postman, as Sarah was saying, it could be the postie.
It could be the postie, yeah. He's a little old man. So glad I swiped right. So they might be aware of my Tinder activities. Happy Valentine's Day.
You don't have addresses on Tinder, do you?
No, of course not. No. And then inside it is like delve in and open up. There's a little yellow plant, very cute.
Yeah, the chrysanthemums are lovely.
Yeah.
Or if that is what it is, but yeah.
It says it's a pot mum. I don't know what a pot mum is. I don't know what plant it. I'm not very clever on plants. And then look, so my night in alone will be complete. I've got some chockies, some pink chockies. So strawberries and cream. How lovely. So wow.
Very nice too.
That's a terrific surprise.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Really exciting.
Most unexpected. Never happens to me. But yeah.
Oh,
Anyway.
well, maybe next week we'll know who it is.
Maybe.
Maybe. I'm just checking in the chat, and still no one's saying hi.
Still no one there.
So there have been some people there. I've seen some watchers come in, but I can't. No one's saying hello to us. So if you are in, don't be shy. Say hi.
And if you're watching on replay, don't forget to put #replay in the comments so we know you've been, and also let us know. Even if it's on replay, let us know if you have any questions or comments, because we do go back and check that. So you haven't completely missed out if you're watching it on return.
Oh,
or on replay.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, Melinda is going to talk to us a little bit about consulting. And if you want to go back and catch the first part of that episode, that's from the 17th of January.
Yes.
So you'll see that in all of our feeds. But also, if you search on the hashtag LLLL, because it was the link to Ladies Loose and Live, then you will find it much quicker. So look out for that. And any of these shows are always available on our feed, so you'll be able to find them there. So whilst we wait for people to join us and tell us all about their weekends and what they're looking forward to, did you have a nice weekend, ladies?
I did, yeah. I mean, again, just going back as the boys have gone away, it's been a little bit quiet. I've been left with the monosyllabic daughter, which is quiet and slightly unnerving. But yeah, and I won't bore on, but I've started writing a book. Guess what I was doing this weekend? Oh my goodness. I can see why a lot of people don't end up writing books. I mean, I have to admit, even though I am the master of mindset and unshakable belief, I've had to dig deep this weekend. And every time I've read something like, most people won't end up doing this because I've thought, well, sod you, I'm going to do it anyway. But it's tough. It's really tough. Getting your thoughts out in an ordered order, in a way that's going to help them want to pick up the book and then keep reading. It's not easy, but I'm really determined. But I've spent a lot of time doing that this weekend, and I'm really enjoying learning some new skills in how to order what I do, and it's really helped me clarify as well what I'm saying and why I'm saying it and how I'm saying it. But yeah, not a lot of going out. I did go out with one friend for dinner, which was nice. She had more than one syllable to share, so that was nice. And God knows what the rest of the week will hold. But what about you, Melinda? What did you get up to?
Well, I'm broadcasting from a secret location just outside of Luxembourg City. So I spent the weekend kind of touring about a bit Luxembourg and the little neighboring areas of Germany, and had a really fun party on Saturday night. And so yeah, it was like a lot of Italians who've relocated here, so a lot of great food and dancing and good company. So yeah, it's been nothing too organized, as far as it's not like a running tour of museums or anything, but it's all been quite relaxed and quite fun. So yeah,
well, that sounds great.
Oh,
you frightened me this weekend.
Yes, I found it a few people. Yeah, so I was doing an outside first aid course, and it was all weekend. It was all day Saturday and all day Sunday. All day Saturday was in the classroom learning the theory of first aid, but it is first aid specifically for outdoors. So I've done the office-based first aid courses before. I've always thought it was important to know first aid just in case. But this was brilliant. This was amazing. This was... so you think what I do when I'm up on the hill, there are chainsaws, there are mattocks to chop trees down, spades, there are lots of visitors, and there are lots of cliffs, and there are ponds, and there are lakes, and so anything could happen, and it could happen to anyone of any age. And so there were things for babies, children, adults, and obviously there's the CPR, but there's also, like packing like nasty wounds. And on the Sunday, we were outside with some amazing actors with amazing makeup. Jeez, it was so scary because you don't know what you're going to get. And this woman presented with this massive gash in her hand and the blood. And it looked, I had no idea how they'd done it. I thought, is that an old wound that they've just dressed with fake blood? But it was with wax. It was absolutely amazing. Oh my goodness. Anyway, yeah, so that's what we were doing all weekend. And it was hard. And I've been in situations before where it's a bit dramatic to save someone's life. We've done the Heimlich maneuver before on somebody who was choking and going blue. And when you're there, you're dead calm and you just get on with it. When you're kind of being examined and learning it in this kind of like fake situation, it's really quite stressful.
It sounds really stressful.
Really good though.
Yeah, just want you guys amazing to know that I'm getting some messages through as well. I'm looking down here from people saying, why can't you see our comments? So there is something going on here, and I don't know what it is. But if you are there and you're writing comments, hello. Sorry, we can't see them. Restream's doing some weird stuff at the moment. They're having some problems with a few of their streaming I don't know what the word is, but connecting to other things. So maybe LinkedIn's got a bit of an issue today, but there are people there. So what I'll do is, as you start your session, Melinda, I'll keep an eye on my phone as well, and I'll let you know what the questions are coming in, and maybe you can do the same, Vanessa, because you'll be getting them through on your feed too.
I'll try.
That'd be great.
It up. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So then, shall we go into the consultancy section? Then we can switch to Melinda. We can see if we can work out what's going on in the background whilst Melinda speaks, and we'll leave you to it.
Can I let you know who's there now? Because I
yes,
I'd like to say hi to Joanna Bell. Hi, Joanna. John Marsh is in. Chris Farmer. What a great surname. Joanna's saying, what fun, Vanessa. I'm having champagne and duck à l'orange at a lunchtime treat.
Oh, nice.
Get you. Chris has said, love to make it. Oh, he's running a bit late. He's going to come later. Arshad Ali is in. Hello, Arshad. Christopher Rose is in. Hi, Chris. And Mantha saying hello. Just popped in during lunch. That's from Chris. Anna Maria I can never say, but Anna Maria is in. Good. Hello, everybody. She's waving. Heather's catching up later. Danny Wareham's in. He's waving. John Marsh. It's not just for ladies, is it? No, it's not just for ladies, John. It's for all humans.
Yeah, that's why we're the business brunch now, to make that more inclusive feeling.
Tracy Appleby is sending us happy Valentine's Day. Thank you, Tracy. And yeah. Oh, Tracy wants to celebrate ordering a new car. Very nice, Tracy. Waving. John Marsh. It's not just for ladies, is it? No, it's not just for ladies, John. It's for
it's because you're on your phone. You need to now.
This isn't going to work, is it?
I just opened it to see on, and I thought it was me then, but yes, there's lots of people there on my feed as well. Oh God, that's why isn't it coming through? Oh, Restream, this is the third time it's let us down.
We might have to think about ending Restream and trying something else. But anyway, thank you for those of you there. Thank you for joining us. Hang on in there.
We'll work on the technical issues with Restream.
If you have questions, so I was going to say, if they have questions for you, and we don't pick it up in our feed now, we will come back to you afterwards, Melinda will. So please keep asking them and let us know what you're thinking. Send us the thumbs up if you like it, and we'll know. We might have to think about ending Restream and trying to. Anyway, thank you for those of you there. Thank you. I mean, one of me, quite frankly, is enough. Melinda, let's go to you, lovely. Let's hand over and do the action learning bit. Oh, Vanessa, do you anything you want to?
Yeah, I just look on my feed. I've worked out to kind of turn the sound off. So let me just say hello to people who are there. So Rick Melton from the US says, happy Valentine's Day to you ladies. Robert Williams is here. And he said his wife left him alone for 5 days for the first time in 35 years for a girls' trip with his daughter and a cousin. They went to California, and he doesn't know what to do with himself. Can you tell him if his house is still intact? Gemma Madden is here, and she says, wow, Vanessa, that must be to my secret gift. And Waggy is here again. Thank you, Waggy. And he is in love and in a friend relationship, and they celebrate. And he's remembering the people who has left them with gratitude. That's really sweet.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. Robert Williams says he's here. He wouldn't miss it, and it starts his week off splendidly.
Thanks, Robert.
And Gary Spencer is here again, and he's ordered an original painting for his beautiful wife, Bev. How nice is that? Oh, you're a good one, Gary. You're a keeper.
Yeah. Everywhere we look around.
There we go. So that's everything I'm seeing at the minute on my feed. There we go. So
cool.
let's some people there.
Yeah. And while I'm speaking, feel free to keep adding your comments, folks. And maybe, Vanessa and Sarah, if you want to hit mute on yours, just in case it comes through, and then we'll drop out to questions periodically. And so we shall get started then. So let's get rotated. Here I am. Yay. Okay, so when I spoke with you last about consulting, well, first off, let me give you a little 2-second background. I have been in the business of consulting for, more than 20 years, closer to 25, but we won't be picky about exact numbers. but it is something that I got into kind of by accident, because I was seconded to McDonald's corporate headquarters from Panasonic, where I worked, to work as a consultant on a project for about a year. So that was kind of my start with consulting, and I was sitting next to and working with someone who worked for a consulting firm, and that allowed me to learn more about the business. And as you might expect, they ended up recruiting me when the project finished, and then I became officially in the consulting world. So one of the things I talked about in the 17th of January show is that there are actually three what I think of as core types of consulting. A lot of people think about business consulting as, oh, it's just someone who is doing stuff on their own, the independent consultant. And those are absolutely super common. And a lot of people who have an area of speciality go into doing that. They decide, you know what, I'm done with working for other people. I want to work for myself and set myself up as a consultant in my field. But the other options that people can use even as a bridge to get into independent consulting are, the second one would be working within a consulting company. So these are companies you may have heard of, such as PricewaterhouseCoopers, McKinsey, KPMG. There's a whole host of them that are very well known, plus there's smaller regional ones. And these are companies that provide consulting services or auditing services to clients. So when you work for them, they get the clients, they do the marketing, they do the scheduling, they do the billing, you do the consulting. And that means that you have a little bit less choice on what you work on and when you work on it, because that's something that's provided for you. But you also don't have to do the hustling where you're not the marketing department, the billing department, and customer service. You're just focused on consulting that you want to do. The third option is working with companies that have consultative or consultation services. So those services tend to be provided by companies such as software companies that are selling business to business. And maybe they're doing deployments in conjunction with digital transformation or process transformation. And so they have consultants who go to businesses and assess what their current position is, help them figure out a strategy for moving forward, doing the digital transformation, and then you help them through that journey. So that's the zone where I've been specializing most over the years. And that covers many, many industries. So that's something where it's not just niche for like business software or accounting software, but it can even go into like manufacturing. So if you're putting in a new, say, 3D printing options and helping people get set up to use those, there's lots of ranges of consulting or companies that would have a consulting department. And again, they would have the marketing, they would have the sales, they would have the billing, they would have the bill collecting, they would have the customer service already in place. So you would be focusing on doing the job. Less independence, but also different level of responsibility. So we talked about those things in a bit more detail back on the 17th of January. You're welcome to go back on replay on any of our 3 feeds and see those. And while you're there, you can, or while I'm here, we'll say also feel free to follow any of us that on LinkedIn that you may not be following already. So you'll have access to all of these replays and be able to go back and see, even if you've just met us electronically through LinkedIn now. So for the rest of what I'm going to talk about, I have 3 attributes of consulting that can help you decide if it's something you want to get into or not, 3 myths to dispel, and 3 tips for people who are either getting into consulting or even existing consultants who want to kind of up their game a little bit and make sure that they're as successful as they can be. So before we head into the 3 attributes, I am going to ping Vanessa and Sarah back and see if there are any questions or comments that we need to catch up on, since we're having the technical issues that we won't be able to resolve it during the show, but we'll do our best to resolve it before the next show. So anything to share, Sarah and Vanessa?
Sarah's on mute.
I was on mute. That's a good button for me. Should use it more. Sam Blizzard has said hello to us all, and it's his first show. So Sam, if you're still there, hello. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
And I also missed a comment from the lovely Amantha King, who was just talking about her Valentine's gift. So she came home from the school run, and her lovely hubby had bought her a beautiful statue, which she so wanted for the garden. Best kind of shot. So she's happy today, really happy. What else is that? Nothing else on mine yet. No questions yet. Anything from yours, Vanessa?
Not that I can see. It's not updated. I'm scared of refreshing things in case I break everything.
I would just crack on, Melinda, and then we'll come back to this, and hopefully the comments and questions will come through, and then we'll deal with it afterwards. Hey, it's live, folks. It happens.
And if anybody, if either Sarah or Vanessa want to check my feed on LinkedIn, rock on. So
I'll do that.
Okay, so we will get on with our 3 attributes for consultants. And 3 attributes of consulting careers. One of the biggest things is change, and you have to be comfortable living a life of perpetual motion, basically. Because a consulting role means that nobody is going to hire you if everything is going well and if there are no needs. So obviously it has to be a situation where somebody has a problem that needs solving. They've got a budget to solve within, and they've got a time range to solve within. So once you've gone in and resolved the problem, hopefully on time and on budget, then your services aren't needed anymore. So you go to the next. So you don't really have that downtime. It's not the occasional urgent issue. It's constant urgent issues and a lot of moving around to different clients. Even when I've had long-term implementation projects that have taken more than a year to do because of the nature of the business and the programs, that doesn't mean that was the only thing I was working on. I was usually running 3 or 4 projects at one time. And those projects, so like one week, one client would be quiet, but another would need an on-site visit and some workshops. And then the following week, other people would need the same attention. So it's a matter of juggling. So you're always moving about, always juggling. And you have to be comfortable with the fact that sometimes you don't find out until Friday what you're going to be doing on Monday and where you're going to be doing it. So if you're comfortable with that sort of lifestyle, then consulting will suit you well. If that idea just strikes fear in your heart and makes you cold, then you would want to be careful at what kind of consulting role you were looking at, and you might want to look at a less global role and something that's more local to your region or your city, so that any travel wouldn't involve like long plane journeys and being away from home. Because of that constant change and constantly meeting new people and being thrown into new situations, which are usually pretty stressful because people are, as we know, behind the 8 ball, under pressure, trying to get a problem solved, and their heads on the line, those clients within their organization. So as a compensation for dealing with that kind of stress and the constant unknowns, compensation for consulting careers is higher typically than for just typical, more conventional office roles. It can be, 50 or more % higher, depending on the organization that you're in, and also depending on the scale of the job. So obviously, the higher the compensation, the higher pressure and the more variable the job's going to be. And you have to be really comfortable with being basically the new person in the office on the project and dealing with that level of uncertainty and knowing that you don't know everybody, you don't know what the politics are, you have to quickly suss that out. And that's where the excess compensation, is used to kind of offset that level of stress.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Because it sounds really high pressure, and I can see why the money it has to be good enough to allow you to cope. But that's got to be your one thing, hasn't it? You've got to be really driven by money, but also if you're really driven by change and constant dynamic movement, that's great.
And a desire to help people too.
And a desire to help people. So I guess to go into consultancy, you've really got to dig deep and figure out, are those the things that drive me? And if they're not, you've got to be really careful, because that's what you're going to end up with.
Yeah, it's definitely for new people who get into consultants, and I've mentored lots and lots of them over the years. Some think, on paper, yeah, definitely I want to do this. They do it for a year or two and they're kind of like, feeling a bit burned out, losing the love. And that's not a bad thing. It's a learning process. But the thing is, everybody who's done it, and even if they've only been comfortable being that intense for a few years, it is such a learning curve, and all of those skills and attributes you take forward with you. So I would say, I'm making it sound a bit daunting on purpose, because it is, and you have to be realistic, but also think about what you can learn, think about how far your career can advance, think about the connections you can make, and you can have a 2-year plan for that. You can say, I'm going to give consulting a go for 2 years, see how I feel about it. And then if I still enjoy it, I'll carry on. If I don't, I'll take a more conventional job. So
okay, sorry, I was going to say, just whilst there was a break, I was just going to say, Zoe Jones says hello. She is in the comments, but we can't see it. And Tracy Appleby also says hello.
Hi, Tracy.
Joseph Blank is here. He says hello. Kaya Adine says greetings from Rabat in Morocco. So greetings to you, and lots of love to everyone who's joining us today. And Rick says he's getting to retire from a day-to-day job and he's considering going into consulting. So he says you've got some great points. So that's all good. And Waggy asks, and you might want to do this at the end, or no, what is the difference between a consultant, expert, explorer, and enlightener? So that's something to think about.
Well, consulting is kind of all three, because your job is to explore all of the options available and to enlighten your clients on what options they have available that are the best. You don't want to give them 50 options. It's your job to figure out, say, the top 3 and say, based on what I've learned about you and your requirements, these are the 3 that I would pursue for these reasons. And I think this one is my number 1 for these reasons. What do you think about it, client? And then start the dialogue. But as far as the time constraints and the pressures, if you were, as the individual who was approaching retirement age or just looking to kind of maybe scale back a bit, the independent consulting gives you more flexibility in regards to scheduling. So you might decide you want to take on a project and then take a few weeks off before you take on another project and just have a breather and a bit of a break and kind of be part-time, 3/4 time and see how you go. It's more tricky to do that when you're working for either a consulting company or a software company, for example, or a company that has consulting services as a supplemental product to what they sell, because they're going to have their own targets and budgets, and your schedule is going to be packed. So there's less opportunities to go part-time in that respect. So it's just something to weigh up, really. As far as another attribute of consulting, the third key thing for me is communication skills. And it has to be something that you are comfortable with, the core communication skills of listening to learn, not to respond, and then speaking with clarity and also writing with clarity, in that it doesn't matter that you are the expert in your field. That's great, but you don't want to baffle your clients with technical terms and just verbal explosion or written explosion of everything you know. Brevity is power. And basically, your client will not have time to pick through a dissertation on a topic. They just want you to get to the point. So you have to be able to self-edit and take your core points and communicate those clearly. But the listening skills are really key. And I think even after doing it for so long, I still have to stop and remind myself to listen, to learn, because it's so easy to be a consultant. You want to help. That's your, for most of us, that's our mission in life. And so the instinct is to help quickly. So the instinct, when you start hearing the beginning of a problem, your brain is saying, oh, I know this, I know the answer, I can fix it. And so you're off developing a solution already, but you haven't heard the whole problem. So it's always a challenge to be mindful, keep asking questions, and remember that the first thing the client tells you is probably not the entire problem. It's probably a symptom of a much greater problem. And until you start asking questions and digging in, you're not going to know what that real problem is. So therefore, you can't solve it. And if you're just solving the surface things, people aren't going to be happy at the end of the day.
Just to jump in, I mean, this is so many similarities with coaching and development, isn't there? Is that you hear something straight away, and unless you go in and dig deep, you only ever get this surface level of what's going on at the surface. But actually, the truth of what's underneath that is about 7 or 8 layers deep. And going back to Waggy's question about, do you go in as an expert? When you go in with the expert's hat on, you tend not to listen because you think you're there just to tell. And actually, if the intent is to help, then you ask questions and you listen better. So think about the intent. But I'm just struck by the similarities in what we do, just with a different hat on it.
Yeah, it is. It's a level. It's a form of coaching. It really is. Yeah. But it's a form of coaching with a layer of expertise, less in, say, neurolinguistic programming and emotional intelligence and problem solving on that level, and more solving for how do we make this business process more efficient and develop a really good workflow that gets rid of extra steps.
And yet you need all of the others as well. It's a big job, It's if you can be a great consultant, you must have one heck of a bag full of tricks and skills and tools. It's impressive.
Yeah, it's kind of, I would say, being able to think a bit creatively is essential, because people will want, one of the myths is, that you have to be an extrovert, and, we'll just kind of do a nice segue into the 3 myths now, because I'm keeping an eye on the time. One of the myths is you have to be an extrovert and you have to know everything about everything, and you just march in and blah, here it is, boom. But actually being a bit of an introvert, or having that tendency, some people call it the introverted extrovert, where you can build rapport with people kind of one-to-one or in small groups and tease out what's really going on and get that trust and get that confidence, that lets you be a better consultant. Another one of the myths that relates to all of this is that even though you are the expert and that's why you were hired and brought in, people aren't always going to listen to you, and people aren't always going to take your advice. And you have to be able to accept that and not take that as a personal insult, because it's not. You will never know everything about a client, because you're not in their politics every day. You're not in their world. So even though based on what what you're recommending is truly the best path forward, people won't always take it. And that, yes, it can be frustrating. And you're just thinking, really? You're paying me for this? But that's where your communication skills come in. So you can't argue with people, but at that point, you do have a bit of a responsibility. If you say, here's the perfect solution, and they say, no. You have a responsibility to ask some questions and kind of figure out what the objections are. Is it objection to change? Or is there a fundamental problem in what you've learned that maybe they didn't tell you or that you missed, that is meaning that the solution you've developed isn't appropriate? So those kind of things, it leads to more conversation. And also sometimes something will just be not a good fit, but you still have to document it. And that's where I tend to say, all right, client, this is something you could still do later. Here's the documentation of our proposal so that you can refer to it again. And if you would like us to come back and have another discussion and talk about it in more detail, we can do that. And believe me, it happens. It's just that people they sometimes have to let that concept of change digest a bit before they're ready to say, actually, maybe there's something to this. Maybe I need more conversation. Because if you're throwing out a really innovative solution, a lot of times people who've been in very traditional, backgrounds and been doing the same thing for 20 years are going to be like, whoa, too much change, can't cope. No. And other times it ends up that I get called back to implement what I proposed 6 months later because somebody's retired or somebody's moved on and they'd been a blocker. So having that documentation, providing it to the client, but also keeping your own notes so that you can go back and they don't have to tell their story again is super helpful.
I've worked with leaders like that. So I just wanted to kind of jump in. So I've worked with quite a few leaders like that, whereas you put forward an idea and you've got to, again, give it the weekend or give it a few weeks for it to kind of filter through that initial kind of, no, that's too much. Let it bed down, let them think about it, let them consider it. Especially very strong leaders, that they need time to accept other people's ideas when they're a little bit left of center. But if it's a good idea and they're open, it comes back, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And then they'll present it as their own.
Of course, and that also.
No. We have to stop that. Can I just say that I've just seen Anna Maria saying she's not furiously, but she's taking notes. I couldn't see anything else. And behind the scenes, I'm playing with Restream. So this is fun.
Well, Anna Marie, you can watch this on replay as well. So if you feel you've missed something, just wait till after the show, and then you can kind of fast forward through and get to the bits that you want to listen to again. So don't stress too much. And if anybody's listening to this like in the car or on the commute, again, don't worry, you can always go back on replay and catch the bits that you missed. Just stay safe, obviously, if you're driving. So the third myth I will dispel is business travel is not a big holiday. And constant business travel is definitely not a big holiday. And it's funny because a lot of people that I know, friends who have never traveled for business, they used to ask me when I was doing heavy travel, they say, oh, where have you been since we saw you last? Oh, you've been here, you've been there. Oh, you've been to Hong Kong, you've been to Moscow, you've been to Dubai. That's super cool. It's like being on holiday all the time. No. Basically, you will see in a conventional consulting travel assignment, you will see the airport, what you can see out the taxi window on the way to the hotel or the client, and maybe the hotel lobby, the client's office, airport, home, because next week you're going somewhere else. So yes, sometimes you can extend by a day or two or go in a day early and do a bit of exploring. Or if you're going long haul and it's for a couple of weeks, you have weekends where you can explore what geography you're in, and that's great. But you can get an absolute ton of air miles and hotel club points and all of that. That's great. But then you can't really leverage that for fun until you have your holidays. So just, it's one of those things where it sounds obvious when I say it, but a lot of people who haven't really thought about it think, oh, that's so cool. I get to travel the world. It'll be awesome. And it is, and you get a lot of cultural exposure. I've worked in more than 17 countries, direct, like on-site multiple times. I've visited more than probably 26. So, some I've seen more than others, but it's cool, but there are sacrifices, and there are also sacrifices for your social life, because if you travel a lot and you're away Monday through Friday a lot of weeks, as travel gets back to being its former self, you will find that you have to work a little extra hard to keep your friend relationships going, because if people are always calling you or texting you midweek saying, hey, you want to meet up for a drink, whatever, or let's catch dinner, let's go do some sports, let's go for a walk. And you're always like, oh, sorry, I can't, I'm out of town. If you don't nurture those friendships, those people will feel kind of slighted and fall away. So you just have to be a bit mindful of that.
Just to let you know, we've just got 1 minute left. So I'm going to have to speed you up a little bit on your one. No, you've done your myths, haven't you?
Yeah, well, that was the last of the myths. So what I think I will do, because I went into a bit more detail based on a couple of the questions, is I will save the 3 tips for next time that we are doing a feature on consulting, because those are things that I think they're meaty enough that they can be their own presentation.
Ooh, fabulous. We should look forward to that. That's one to look forward to. Yeah.
So are there any other questions that came in? So we've got a moment to, like 45 seconds to quickly answer them.
No, Nick Rayburn came and said, hi folks. Cara Dean gave us a big smile. Robert said he liked the point about listening to learn and not respond. He loves that. But yeah, I think Restream has killed the comments today and all the interaction we normally have on this day of love.
So if anybody has questions or would like to have a chat, feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm on it every day, so happy to reach out with, feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to connect with you and have a discussion.
Cool.
Fabulous.
Melinda, that's been amazing. Vanessa, are you starring next week?
Oh, yeah, we've not thought about it. I was going to invite somebody, and I've not got around to doing it. So if I can invite somebody to get on, we'll have a guest. If not, it will be me. Yeah, we'll talk about marketing. We did value propositions. So I was thinking maybe to just talk about the customer journey.
Well, maybe people can tell us in the comments what they'd like to hear more about. We've also got the fabulous Samantha King's going to be joining us as well. She's going to give me some dates. Samantha, if you're still there, looking forward to that. And she's going to be, she's a real menopause advocate to getting the information out there. And I quite like the idea of a menopause is for men too. So
yes, that's what I was going to say.
Because I think it's the men that suffer along with the ladies in quite a big way. So we'll be bringing that topic to you soon as well.
Yeah, it's especially important for leaders as well, because if you have people on your team who happen to be dealing with symptoms, and it can start really young. Some people in their early 40s start with the early stages, and those can cause issues which can appear to be performance problems. But if you can have, healthy conversations with your team, you can make sure that the work is appropriate for the person and so forth. So yeah, it's something for everybody.
Yeah.
Right, cool. So we shall keep you up to date in LinkedIn and tell you what is to come next week. So whilst, what I loved what you were saying about kind of being as a consultant, we have to kind of tease out that information. So until next week, I'll be teasing out who the hell sent me these fabulous Valentine's presents. Until then, thank you very much for joining us.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, Melinda. Thank you. See you next time.
See you next week. Bye.